Good morning, everybody. Today, the Privileges Committee of the House of Commons has suspended Boris Johnson for 90 days from Parliament. Now, of course, that punishment for him is not going to be enacted because he's already resigned as an MP. It seems that he knew this was coming and he jumped before he was pushed. Now, the situation with these suspensions from Parliament is that if there's a suspension of over 10 days, then the constituents of the MP have an automatic right to call a recall election, to hold a by-election and try to remove that MP that has been suspended for more than 10 days. Now that, of course, would have happened without any question whatsoever. So if he hadn't have resigned last week, there would be this suspension of 90 days, and that's 90 working days, by the way, so 18 working weeks of Parliament, and not including the summer recess and the recess for parliamentary party conference season, which is in September and October. So 18 working weeks of Parliament from now would pretty much take us up to Christmas. So he wouldn't be back in the House of Commons until around January time if this had actually gone through. In that time, clearly, there would have been a recall petition that would have been successful. Then there would have been a by-election, and he would almost certainly lose that by-election because of the massive demographic change which is going on in London and around the country. And his constituency of Uxbridge and South Ruislip is, of course, undergoing this huge demographic change. Started in Tony Blair's time, has continued and has got even faster under the fake Conservatives. Even though they said they're going to control our borders, they haven't, and mass rapid immigration just continues and goes on and on and on. So with that comes demographic change, and with that comes a change in the voting probabilities and possibilities in the different constituencies around the country, which are subject to this demographic change. And his constituency is a prime example of something that is changing and swinging from one side to the other. Not that there's any difference anymore between fake Conservative, Labour, Lib Dem, Green, SNP. They're all the same, and they all basically are carrying out the same policies. So, whatever differences there were, and there were genuine differences 30 or 40 years ago, they've gone. Now they are all one globalist uniparty. So the thing here, which is interesting, is this Privileges Committee seems to have it in for Boris Johnson, being a fake Conservative. But the people on the Privileges Committee, some are fake Conservative as well, some are Labour, but they're all the same. They're all part of the same uniparty. They're all going in the same direction. They all wanted lockdowns. They all wanted coerced injections. They all want net zero. They all want mass immigration. They all want relationships and sex education for the youngest of children. So they're all doing the same things. But within the uniparty, there are clashes of personality, and people are still jostling for position within that, with the red part of it and the blue part of the uniparty jostling to see who's going to get power and so on. So it's interesting because I don't see any difference between the people on the Privileges Committee led by Harriet Harman of Labour and the person who was subject to their investigation, Boris Johnson. They all supported lockdowns. He's been suspended, or he's been given this sentence of suspension. Obviously, as I said, it's not going to get carried out now. But the suspension was for him having a party during the lockdown that he implemented. And but they all supported the lockdowns as well. And obviously, Boris Johnson has made the accusation today that one of the people on the committee, Bernard Jenkins, also a fake Conservative, had a party as well that he attended. So he's, according to the accusation, as guilty of the breaches that they found Boris Johnson guilty of. The thing is, it's all inverted and twisted in terms of morality and criminality and logic, because they're suspending him and finding him guilty of having a party. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having a party, drinking wine, and eating cake, nor should there ever have been anything wrong with that. That should never, ever have been against the law. But Boris Johnson wrote that into the law, and his government, supported by all the people on the Privileges Committee, whether they're fake Conservative or Labour, and the other parties in Parliament as well. So, should he have been guilty of eating a cake and having a party? No, of course not. What he should be found guilty of is turning this country into an open prison under the hand of tyranny, where he sent the police out to go and harass and arrest people and do terrible things and make all kinds of threats to people under the threat of violence, the threat of arrest, the threat of being dragged through the courts for ages and ages just for going about your normal business. So is a 90-day suspension for this, justified? Depends how you look at it. Not for eating cake, but for the tyranny, he deserves far, far more than this paltry sentence of, oh, well, you can't go to the House of Commons for a few months. He should be up before a Nuremberg trial, along with all the other people on the Privileges Committee who are passing sentence, who supported lockdowns, who supported coerced injections, and will at a heartbeat support central bank digital currencies, who will take us into the World Health Organization pandemic treaty, which will do the same kind of thing if they can get away with it, once again turn our country into an open prison. But this time, with all the surveillance technology which is being put in place for 15-minute cities and so on. The 5G surveillance technology is being built around us as we speak. So that is the real danger here, and we need to consider that all of these people will just do this all over again if they have the chance, but in a slightly different way. It won't be under lockdowns for the COVID. It'll be for the climate, or for the nitrogen or carbon dioxide, or a financial crash or something, or with a central bank digital currency that they want to bring in digital identity for everyone, so that you won't be able to do anything outside the surveillance and control and monitoring of the government. So they all need to be brought up before a Nuremberg trial before this happens, and we need people in Parliament who are going to restore and maintain and fight for our freedoms. So this is where it is. It's so bizarre to me that people on the so-called conservative right, commentators and so on, I think you can guess who I'm talking about without saying their name or their names, are buttering up Boris Johnson today and saying how terrible it is that he's been the victim of a stitch-up. And if they had the chance, they would form a new political party with him to make a new political earthquake. Sorry, anybody who would join up with this charlatan who did lockdowns, who sent the police out to rough people up. Well, that was Matt Hancock, but Matt Hancock was in Boris Johnson's government, so, they may have discussed it together. But anyway, it happened on Boris Johnson's watch, who's bringing in net zero, who totally messed up Brexit, and we didn't get a proper Brexit, we didn't leave the EU properly, is bringing all these horrible sexualizing, grooming materials into schools. The fake Conservatives are doing it in England, Labour are doing it in Wales, the SNP are doing it in Scotland, and totally destroying the fabric of our nation with mass rapid immigration. Anyone who would join up with someone like that has got no principles whatsoever. I would never, ever join up with Boris Johnson or any of the fake Conservatives, any more than I would join up in an alliance with Labour or the Green Party or the Lib Dems. They're all the same. And this idea that Boris Johnson is going to leave and then start up his own party, which is going to be a true Conservative party, is absolute tosh. Seriously, I don't know how anyone can seriously even, present this as a viable idea. He's not Conservative, and anyone who would consider joining up with them in an alliance, in a new party, or using the framework of an existing party, I think you know what I mean, really has got no credibility whatsoever. Please come and join me in the Heritage Party. We exist to be a true socially conservative party. We are the first party to speak out against lockdowns, against coerced injections, against relationships and sex education, against central bank digital currencies, against the smart infrastructure that is being put into place. We're always the first party to speak out against that. A few months down the line, other people copy us and then, use copy my words. They read our manifesto and word for word, sometimes they quote our manifesto. I mean, flattery is or imitation is the best form of flattery. There you go. We have to take it like that. But seriously, if you want a real change, you're not going to find it by allying to rats jumping off a sinking ship as the fake Conservative Party goes down. You're not going to find it in these Tory pressure valves which have been set up. I think you know what I mean. Please come and join me in the Heritage Party. We have a full manifesto which has been out there since the very beginning of how we can restore our country with real socially conservative principles that just simply restore common sense in every area. You can join me as a member on heritageparty.org. You're welcome, very welcome to join as a member. And if you would like to get involved and in restoring our country, get active and think about becoming a candidate either at local level or national level, you can apply to be a candidate as well if you're a member on our site too, heritageparty.org. So please come and join me there, and don't waste your time with this theatre show, this puppetry, this nonsense with Boris Johnson. He deserves everything he's getting and more. Okay, thanks for listening, everybody. God bless you all.